Happy Saturday, Bualia Desmond here. Thank you for tuning in. We have a little bit of a different spin today. I have
Chris Harris,
Vic, Simon,
and here we are hanging out. And so tonight we're going to discuss pressure in sports and what that has been like for the boys, and also just any advice that they can give to those kids who look up to them and who want to be icons like they are, people who love sports and are looked up to, and so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So who wants to start?
you got the chief.
Vic.
All right. With being a pretty big face around here and in basketball and stuff like that, there's always people watching. There's a lot of people that know me that I don't know, that I don't even know me, but they do, and there's always someone watching. So making sure that you're doing the right thing and staying on track and setting a good example and representing yourself and your team and your family well at all times that's a really big thing because again, you really never know who's watching.
Yeah. So how does that feel when you've got, like these little kids who look up to you, or even just your teammates? How do you handle that kind of pressure? Do you feel as though, you can just be yourself, or do you feel like you have to put up a front, or how does that work?
I think I'm really like a natural born leader. People follow me. It just kind of is what it is, and I think it's kind of cool. Having the little kids look up to you and stuff like that. It's always been cool to me.
It's a blessing.
If I can show them how to do the right thing and stay on the right path, I think that's huge.
Do you remember when you were growing up who you looked up to? Maybe somebody that was a senior in high school when you weren't. Is there any particular person that you looked up to that you wanted to be like?
Kobe King, Jalen Sample,
yeah.
All those guys were big time athletes. So like seeing all the success that they had and how they represented themselves in the community, how they carried themselves, I just try to take after them.
Very good, very good. How about you, Chris?
For me, it was more Jalen Sample and Tyler Hughes. Those are kind of the two guys where I looked up to them a lot because they were big time athletes in their sport, football, and that's kind of something I've always dreamed of playing, not just in high school, but playing at the next level. So watching them kind of, as an 8th grader, just seeing the things that they were able to accomplish, and even to the end, they always led with examples and always were a vocal leader. So I try to be somewhat like that. So, yeah. And just when little kids come up, it's kind of like a blessing because it's weird to think like we were in their shoes at one point in our lives, and now they look up to us, and it's just like a cycle continues. Pretty soon, some of those kids are going to be doing the same thing we're doing and going on to great things. So it's really interesting to see, and just I'm grateful for it all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how important do you think it is to have somebody that you look up to, or have a mentor that you can follow? Like, because there's some athletes that are well known and they're popular, but not necessarily a good example to follow.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you follow the right person?
I kind of just see like with Jalen Sample and Tyler, when they weren't on the field, like I see what they were doing on the sidelines, and even after the games, how they were greeting everyone and like just had so much respect for the people who supported them and the little kids who looked up to them. So I kind of just, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's I'm going to Walmart or something, I'm always just trying to be on my best behavior as best as I can because I know there's always somebody watching. And also like it sets high expectations for yourself because you want to live up to them, but also break them and create new expectations for yourself and just for other kids, so they have something they could see like, oh, if he could do it, why can't I? So that's always been like a part of me that I really want other kids to kind of grow into as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you guys are seniors, which means that you're moving on to college and done. So was there a lot of, because you both want to play sports, beyond high school. So, what's next? How do you feel about, that next step?
I think I'm ready for it. It's going to be different. I've always kind of been able to live on my own for a while, just living with my mom and going all over and her having to go to work and stuff. I've kind of used to been living on my own. So I think I'm ready for it. And I got a great recruits who are also going to the same school as me who kind of are ready to push and other guys who are older who are excited for me to be there and show me a lot of things, and the coaches are great. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How about you, Vic? Any last words?
I'm really just excited. You know, it's a new stage of life. Get to learn some new things from, you know, some pretty cool people. You get to meet a lot of people, a lot of good, you know, mentors and friends that might last you a really long time. So, you know, moving on and taking that next step is going to be really exciting.
Very good. Sam? Nothing to say? Any last words, Chris?
Not really, just work hard. You know, there's going to be times where you're going to face adversity and you think, you know, you can't do it, but there's always somebody watching you who's, you know, they may not see how much you're struggling, but, you know, they think that you're always going to be great, but they're never going to see the failures. So it's okay to let your failures be seen, but don't let it dictate, you know, everything about your life. You're going to fail in life, and that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't succeed without failing.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, like, you failing is going to lead to you succeeding. You know, there's peaks and valleys in life. So, you know, even when you think you're at your lowest, just remember that it's going back up after that. You know, there's days where you're not going to want to do it. You're not going to want to go to the gym. You're not going to want to lift. You're not going to want to do that extra sprint. But those are the days when you have to do more and exceed everything that you set out to do that day. The days that I don't feel like going to the gym, I'll put up an extra 100 shots, because those are the days where I can translate into a game where I'm tired and I don't feel like going anymore and I don't feel like playing defense anymore. But you really have to. You got to lock in. You got to grind. You got to grind, because that's what takes you to that next level. When you get, you know, into when everybody's, you know, on the same equal playing field, you got to have all the little things that separate you from the next guy. When college coaches are looking at you, you might be as good or better than somebody else, but they do all the little things better than you, and they might look at them and say, oh, I want him over him, because he's not willing to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, just being prepared to do whatever it takes to get to where you want to be is huge. You know, set high expectations for yourself, and every time that you can, you know, you got to go and exceed those expectations.
Very good. So there you have it. Thanks for joining me tonight, boys.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Bless y'all.